Good evening and thank you for watching Times News. You're with me, Elita Soko. First, the headlines. President Lazarus Chakwera pays his last respects to 2 MDF soldiers who died in a road accident on Monday. 19 more megawatts added to the national grid following the commissioning of Tedzani 4 hydropower station. And lawyer dumps suspected defiler Steward Kalungama. We have these and other stories. Do stay with us. And our first news item this evening. President Lazarus Chakwera has paid his last respects to 2 Malawi Defense Force or MDF soldiers who died in a road accident on Monday. The president paid his respects at Kamuzu College of Health Sciences, formerly College of Medicine in Blantyre. According to MDF Acting Public Information Officer Major Emmanuel Mlelemba, the remains of the 2 were expected to be buried in Lilongwe, where they were both residing. We have more in this report read by Justin Mgweo.
Wearing his black suit, a white shirt and a red necktie, President Chakwera's face was a picture of grief. Mlelemba explained that Corporal Sheriff Maulana was expected to be buried today as per the tradition in the Muslim faith, but that Corporal Gift Kajedwa is expected to be buried tomorrow.
As MDF, it is a huge loss to us because these soldiers that had a very good, bright future in the system. As you know, they formed part of the presidential security. That's why they were on the convoy providing security. So simply what I can say is it is a huge loss to the Malawi Defense Force. They were very hardworking, courageous and disciplined soldiers. So we mourn their death.
The 2 soldiers were part of the presidential convoy when the president was going to Blantyre from Lilongwe to officially commission Tedzani 4 power station, among other engagements. The convoy had almost reached its destination in Sanjika Palace when the Land Cruiser they were traveling in swung off the road along the M1 road close to Grace Bandawe Conference Center. Speaking in an earlier interview, Minister of Information Gospel Kazako expressed sadness with the tragedy. He added that President Lazarus Chakwera is saddened by the loss of the 2 soldiers because apart from being of great service to Malawi, he knew them by name and by face.
May their souls rest in peace. Meanwhile, President Lazarus Chakwera has commissioned the Tedzani 4 hydropower station in Blantyre. The power station will be contributing 19 megawatts to the national grid. The president said the development symbolizes that plans to reach 1,000 megawatts in the next 4 years by his administration are attainable. Chimwemwe Mangazi reports.
President Chakwera reiterated government's plans to add 1,000 megawatts to the national grid in the next 4 years, saying the commissioning of Tedzani 4 power plant has reduced the target to 981 megawatts.
Today, with the commissioning of this power station, it's 19 megawatts down and 981 to go. I expect that the official Ministry of Energy will not allow us to lose this momentum or miss our targets. Our country has suffered power shortages for far too long and should not be expected to wait any longer. Allowing Malawi to continue living in the dark ages is not a mindset that I will tolerate in my administration.
Japanese ambassador to Malawi, Satoshi Iwakiri, expressed gratitude for the successful project completion, urging Ejenko to efficiently manage the power station for it to be sustainable.
This hydropower station has been constructed with grant assistance from Japan, amounting to about 40 billion
Genco board chairperson Zangazanga Chikosi added that the company will be looking at other alternative sources of energy in a quest to reduce over-reliance of hydroelectricity from the current 95% to a 72% target. The addition of 19 megawatts to the national grid from this power plant has increased the country's generation capacity to 441.55 megawatts against a national demand of 800 megawatts.
Now, Stuart Kalungama, who is accused of defiling his 9-year-old stepdaughter, has been dumped by his lawyer. The Lilongwe Chief Resident Magistrate Patrick Chirwa has since given Kalungama 7 days to find another lawyer to represent him. Weze Gausi reports.
Recently, the lawyer Edward Chagalamuka asked the presiding magistrate to recuse himself, but his request was shot down. When hearing of the case resumed on Tuesday, Magistrate Chirwa allowed Kalungama to find legal representation. President for Women Lawyers Association, Immaculate Maluza, who is also representing the state in the case, welcomed the court's determination. Kalungama, a businessman who hails from CCDC in Lilongwe, but his home village is Chinamadzo in the area of traditional Threde Chiseka in Lilongwe, was arrested early this year.
And in a related development, the Blantyre Magistrates Court will on Monday, July 5, deliver its ruling on whether or not to convict rape suspect interdicted policeman Andrew Jagaga. The matter was in court on Tuesday for the defense to parade its witnesses. Gary Samati with the details.
On May 21, Banda ruled that Jagaga had a case to answer, following testimonies by 6 state witnesses. The matter was adjourned to Monday, June 7, but Jagaga waived his right to testify, choosing to remain silent instead. His lawyer, Ian Kumpita, however, used the only witness that the defense had. The witness, Aaron Chilowe, a fellow police officer who was on duty during the night the incident apparently happened, gave the narrative that the only time Jagaga was alone with the alleged rape survivor was outside the police station and not inside as earlier testimonies claimed. However, in cross-examination, state lawyers tamed the witness' credibility as he ended up giving contradictory statements. Nonetheless, the case was concluded in court after cross-examination as both the defense and state rested their case. In an interview, state lawyer Eunice Ndingo said she would not comment further on her expectations. Meanwhile, human rights activists who filled the seats of the courts in numbers weighed in on the matter outside the court. Tom Piri, Child Protection Officer of Mulelewaka Foundation, a non-governmental organization, said it is sad that authorities with the mandate to protect citizens are involved in rape allegations.
Specifically, the message is being sent to some professionals who use their positions to abuse children. The message is that Mulelewaka Foundation is geared to see that children have a safe childhood, and as a police officer, we look up to these guys as people who will be protecting these children. So we are sending a message that Limbe Police failed in their responsibility to protect the victim when she was in their custody.
Jagaga is accused of raping the survivor during the late hours of 12 December and the early hours of 13 December, while the alleged rape survivor was in police custody.
Gary Samati with that report. And still on legal issues, Chief Resident Magistrate Patrick Chirwa has dismissed an application by the state to have witnesses testify virtually in the extradition case involving Prophet Shepherd Bushiri and his wife Mary. The two appeared before the court on Tuesday. Matthews Kasanda has the details.
Chirwa says there's no legal basis for the magistrate court to allow virtual representation. He says the order remains clear and mandatory that the witnesses should be brought into the country to give their testimony physically. Chirwa further said the reasons given by the state were mere speculative. Among others, the state argued it would be costly for the 10 witnesses to travel from South Africa to Malawi. It further said due to COVID-19, traveling was restricted, but the court dismissed the arguments. One of the lawyers for the Bushiris, Wapona Kita, said the defense is ready for physical engagement with the witnesses in the court.
That is what we have been expecting all along. We have been prepared ourselves for that kind of exercise. We were ready to proceed on the 4th of June for the witnesses to come, cross-examine them. Now that they're saying they should come in July, we're still more than ready to face them when they come to Malawi, assuming they'll manage to come to Malawi.
Director of Public Prosecution Steve Gayuni said the state will respect the court's ruling.
It's a court order, and it has to be respected, and we'll have to go by the dictates of the order that the court has made. The arrangements have to be made, discussions, international cooperation has to be there, making sure that the order of the court is duly accorded its effect.
The South African government wants Bushiri and his wife to be extradited to that country to answer multiple charges in connection to money laundering. The extradition process started in December last year, and the court has since adjourned the case to the second week of July 2021.
At least 44,000 farmers in the districts of Chiradzulu and Nkhani are expected to improve their livelihood in a 1.5 billion kwacha project by Action Aid Malawi. This has been reviewed when the organization donated treadle pumps and bicycles to smallholder farmers in Chiradzulu. Thomas Kachere has more in this report.
Action Aid Malawi Executive Director Asan Golowa said the project, dubbed Kulima Beta, intends to assist farmers to be able to increase resilience, food nutrition and income security. Golowa said to overcome some of the challenges faced by the farmers, they donated 45 bicycles and 24 treadle pumps in Chiradzulu out of the 80 bicycles and 40 treadle pumps it sourced for the two districts.
Our target for both districts is to reach out to 44,000 farmers. We have reached out to 41,000 farmers after 3 years of the 5 years. We think we are making progress. The yields across our target communities have improved and increased. There's evidence of improved nutrition as well in the targeted households, and we think that's part of the progress that we have made through this project.
One of the beneficiaries, Cosmas Bombe, said the donation will help a lot to maximize his harvest. The 5-year 1.5 billion kwacha project is being carried out with funding from European Union through Self-Help Africa and is targeting smallholder farmers in Chiradzulu and Nkhani districts.
And the United Nations Development Programme UNDP has challenged Malawi to look into the future and align its development plans accordingly. UNDP Deputy Resident Representative Claire Medina said this in Lilongwe during a working session to assess alignment of sectoral policies to Malawi's 2063 agenda, organized by National Planning Commission. Weze Gaosi reports.
This process is proposed to proceed by a working session to first assess alignment of existing policies to the new Malawi 2063. Chimbiri says UNDP intends to develop policy briefs in various development areas guided by the new vision.
What you see is that the Vision 2063 has really consolidated or taken a multi-sectoral approach. And this exercise is meant to align all the existing policies to the Vision 2063 so that they are more consolidated, coherent policies that will really help the government deliver on the Vision 2063.
NPC Director of Knowledge and Learning, Joseph Enagoli, says the Malawi 2063 calls for alignment of different policies for the vision to be achieved. He says the country suffered coordination problems in implementation of development programs, which resulted in effort duplication, resource misallocation, and poor tracking of the progress.
What we're expecting from this is basically that we look at all the policies that we have in Malawi in all sectors and try to align them to the 3 pillars and 7 enablers of the Malawi 2063. And from there we'll be able to see what policies are working, what policies are yet to maybe to be revised, and what gaps are we expecting to actually look into for us to operationalize the Malawi 2063.
NPC will work closely with Ministers of Local Government to ensure that policies, strategies and plans are decentralized at that level to ensure sustainable finance mobilization initiatives to promote economically independent councils.
This is Times News. We'll be back with more shortly.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Tipolole kungonjezera mayunits atnm kuyambira 200 kwacha kapena kuposera pamenepo mutha kukhala mmodzi mwa mamilioneya mu TNM Tipolole promotion. Koma mukaonjezera mayunits ndi 100 kwacha kapena kuposerapo mudzilandira mabonus oyimbira foni, SMS kapena data pompo.
TNM, always with you.
Welcome back to the news on Times Television, TTV. Royal families of the Chikulamayembe chieftaincy are this Wednesday expected to appoint an heir to the throne following a directive of the High Court. Members of the royal families and Rumpi District Commissioner Fred Moveti confirmed separately, as Sam Kalimira reports from Mzuzu.
One of the royal family members, Chikalamba Gondwe, said the royal families have resolved that 11 families should choose one person to be crowned Temba Lamatemba Chikulamayembe. Gondwe said the families will follow the court ruling, which, according to him, directed that the royal families should appoint one person, either Bongororo Gondwe or Ntima Gondwe.
Yeah, this is true. Tomorrow we are going to elect one from two candidates, Ntima Gondwe and Bongororo Gondwe. We are going to select one from them. And the court, High Court, told us that we should sit down and choose one out of two. So we are going to choose one out of two, as I already mentioned, Bongororo and Ntima.
Rumpi District Commissioner Fred Moveti said his office will only provide place for the event, saying the entire process will be handled by families.
We are doing this because the DC's office is supposed to be neutral, so we are not supposed to facilitate the whole process. It's left to the members of the royal family.
The royal families are Bongororo, Nkupa, Cheeka, Bwati, Chikulamasinda, Bamantha, Chiwozya, Luwinga, Chakanda, Kalapamhanya, and Chavura.
Now, Lake Malawi has this year registered an increase in water levels, surpassing a record registered in 2012. Acting Director of Natural Water Resources Authority, Oswald Mwamsamali, in an interview, says the water levels have increased to 475 centimeters above sea level, compared to an average of 472 centimeters registered over the past 8 years. Johannes Simon has this report read by Gary Samati.
Mwamsamali attributes the increase to heavy rains, which the country received this year, as well as the installation of the new barrage at Liwonde, which has helped to control water flow on the lower side of the Shire River. He says the development is likely to ease electricity generation on the lower side of the Shire River, because there will be adequate water flow for power generation.
Within this hydrological year, we have seen that we have made gains. I think in terms of levels, water level above sea level, it's about 470 4 point something, or 476 point something meters above sea level.
Minister of Natural Resources, Nancy Tembo, says her ministry is happy that water levels in both Shire River and Lake Malawi are increasing, but appeals to people in the country to be proactive in fighting the situation. Tembo further challenges entrepreneurs to take advantage of the weeds which are being harvested at the Kamuzu Barrage and turn them into a business, for instance, by making briquettes for cooking.
We need some entrepreneur that is resourceful, that can make use of the water hyacinth that is being harvested here to make briquettes and earn some livelihood out of it.
With funding from the World Bank, Malawi government embarked on the Shire Basin Management Program, whose objectives, among others, was to upgrade the Kamuzu Barrage to make it more efficient in terms of water management.
And in international news, Kenya's Wildlife Service says for the first time in 21 years, not a single rhinoceros was poached in the country's national parks in 2020. To maintain the progress, it is conducting the first ever wildlife census and placing mobile container housing in parks for rangers. The VOA's Victoria Amunga reports from Nairobi.
Kenya's Wildlife Service credits intensified surveillance for the drop in rhinoceros poaching cases to 0 last year, the lowest number in 2 decades. The agency says it's also taking measures to maintain the progress, such as conducting a wildlife census for the first time.
There's a new strategy in the entire KWS that we focusing on housing for rangers. We are focusing on buying them new equipment. Be it the firearms, whatever they require, be it the uniforms, be it cold weather clothing, that they can be able to respond at all times.
In Nairobi National Park, rangers with the rhinoceros monitoring unit are being upgraded from old tents. Ranger Augustine Mtua says new container housing units will help them to get to work protecting rhinos much faster.
You have to wake up there in the morning, you cook their breakfast, then you just walk out, going direct to the patrol. Not as the earlier as we are doing, you came out of the tent, you go outside to fetch water somewhere, you can see the tank there, then you come back to the kitchen, start preparing. Oh, it takes a lot of time.
Kenya had over 2 million tourists visit in 2019. Most go to see its rare wildlife like the critically endangered rhinos.
It's great that there's been no poaching. This park is very well protected, which I'd say other parks are not as well protected.
Poachers kill rhinos for their horns, which sell for up to $60,000 per kilogram in Asian markets as aphrodisiacs and status symbol. Poaching reduced Kenya's black rhino population by 97% from the 1960s to the 1990s, from more than 20,000 to just a few hundred. But conservation efforts helped Kenya's wild rhino population to recover to 1,200, some including the world's only 2 remaining northern white rhinos. Victoria Amunga for VOA News, Nairobi.
And that's the news tonight, but before we go, the headlines again. President Lazarus Chakwera pays his last respects to 2 MDF soldiers who died in a road accident on Monday. 19 more megawatts to the national grid following the commissioning of Tedzani 4 hydropower station. And lawyer dumps suspected defiler Stuart Kalungama. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw. You may like our Facebook page Times 360 Malawi and follow us on Twitter at Times 360 Malawi. Now remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Stay safe. You've been with me, Elita Soko.